this week's chapter of Bleach, one giant baby gives birth to another giant baby. A little bit of nightmare fuel was injected into this week's chapter of Bleach as Mayuri Kurotsuchi continues to battle against Pernita and his weird, creepy hands, which, when the fingers are removed, they can straight up just turn into another hand, and that just makes him very destructive. This is when Mayuri Kurotsuchi decides he has no choice but to unleash the power of his Bankai. And if you guys have read the previous manga chapters, or you've seen the anime version of Bleach, you know that Mayuri Kurotsuchi's Bankai is pretty freaking disturbing. The Ashisogi Jizo, which takes the form of this massive caterpillar baby, which can spread poison all over the place, has all of these sharp blades coming out of its chest. However, the ante is certainly upped in this week's chapter when we get to learn that Mayuri has reconfigured or retooled his Bankai so that it now takes the form of this giant dark-skinned baby, which literally looks like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man on drugs, which suddenly gives birth to the original form of the Ashisogi Jizo, which now has some brand new abilities. Its entire body is actually covered in all of these multiple layers made up of nerves, so that whenever the Pernita hands actually try to attack this being, it's just going to rip away another layer, and the giant monster baby of death is just going to chomp down on top of the hands. It's really freaky imagery. You remember that one scene from the fourth Alien movie, Alien Resurrection, where you have that one alien-human hybrid which has actually been birthed by the giant alien queen? It's basically what happens in this week's chapter, except that it's even more disturbing and creepy looking, and that's definitely something that Mayuri Kurotsuchi can get away with. So what's the rundown on this week's chapter of Bleach? Oh god, this was just a freaky deaky chapter. But it was also followed by some amazingly creative artwork and abilities that we haven't seen from the series, and leave it up to the mad scientist of Bleach to give us a really interesting taste of the craziness of what this show is really all about. What I really loved about this chapter, of course, was the artwork. It was all really freaky looking, especially when you got to see the brand new form of the Ashisogi Jizo, which was this giant blobbish, like, weird dark-skinned baby, which had these, like, weird scales on its head. It also had these, like, giant umbilical cords, which were coming out of its back, and it was lying all over him. And then suddenly this other baby just explodes out of its stomach, covered with veins, without any sort of, like, visible irises in its eyes. It's really disturbing and creepy imagery. And this is all following up on the fact that Pernita can actually remove its own fingers, which will grow into their very own hands themselves. We also get a little more backstory about the left and right arms. Really, it's just more hinting towards their abilities to be able to advance something or to stop something, but you're gonna forget all about that when you just see all of the creepiness from this week's chapter, which played to what I think is Kubo's greatest strength, which is the ability to create some really nasty and creepy imagery. His artwork is always really impressive, and it's no more evident than in this week's chapter of Bleach. And it's always a joy to see Mayuri Kurotsuchi just go all out when he actually has to bring his Bankai into action, especially when it has like a brand new form. You know, we've already seen people with like different forms of Bankai in the series, special extra abilities, but the fact that he can sort of experiment on his and use them in a lot of interesting ways just shows that if the series were to continue, we could practically see a brand new Bankai from Kurotsuchi every single time. Alas, this is the final arc of the series. We also have the character of Nemu, who looks like she's going to do something pretty important by the end of the chapter. I can't quite tell what that's going to be. Overall, though, the action in this week's chapter was also pretty much on point. Pernita is creepy as always, just the way it's actually drawn. How it's moving so quickly, running across the ground, jumping up into the air, and pouncing like a freaking spider of death. And then, of course, you have Kurotsuchi, who just blasts the damn thing away and activates his Bankai in the most badass way possible. Honestly, this was just another really fun chapter, but I really can't wait to see how they're going to wrap it up, if there's going to be some sort of twist here, because as much as Kurotsuchi is actually winning this battle, there's always that small chance that something's just going to go completely wrong and he is going to be killed, because this is sort of like going down the same route of every single battle that he's had in the series, where he basically just sort of picks his opponents apart. He sort of plays with them, experiments with them a little bit, before he decides to officially finish them off, or at least save a chunk of them for experimentation later. But it might not go that way this time. I really can't wait to see if there's going to be a twist to that. Maybe there'll be even some more new abilities as to what will happen with the Ashisogi Jizo. We're just going to have to wait and see. But this week's chapter looked really good. It was really creepy, had more of that great Kurotsuchi dialogue. The battle between him and Pernita, I honestly think, is one of the better battles of this final arc. I still think my favorite one is the battle between the Quincy leader and Ichibe Hyosabe. but still, I'm going to hold my breath. I just cannot wait to see how they're going to handle this, and I am really excited. But I want to hear from you guys. What did you guys think of Kurotsuchi's brand new Bankai abilities? Do you think it was really freaky with the one baby giving birth to another? What do you think is going to happen in the end of this battle? Do you think Kurotsuchi's actually going to be able to win? Or do you think that Kenpachi is going to somehow get involved, or maybe even Nemu? Please tell me your thoughts in the comments section below. As far as the score for this week's chapter, I thought it was really good. It's just not too much happened, and it did felt slightly rushed yet again. Despite that, I thought it was really high quality, and it had some really great artwork and some amazing action. So I'm going to give this week's chapter a 4 out of 5. I still thought it was pretty damn solid, and something that any Bleach fan should definitely check out, especially if you've been reading the manga version, or if you watched the anime version and it ended, and you just want some new Bleach material. Read this final arc. It's freaking awesome, and I can only pray that it eventually does get animated, because everything here looks like it would just look so freaking awesome in an anime version of Bleach, but we're just going to have to wait and see how that turns out. Otherwise, this week's chapter was really exciting. It's great to have it back. We were just on break for a week, and I'm really glad it's here because this battle is freaking kick-ass. So thank you guys for watching my review. Make sure to like this video, share it with all your friends, make sure to subscribe to the channel and follow us on social media. You guys should also check out our weekly podcast show that me and Christian do. It's really awesome. Sometimes we have guests on. We talk about all types of nerdy things like anime, movies, comic books, even some political stuff, and a lot of things that's going on in the world today. You should definitely check it out. And remember, you can download that show for free at iTunes and at Rogue Intel. We'll put links for all of that stuff in the description box below. So thank you guys again for watching, and as always, stay dandy, baby.